In June 1984, a couple of months before the events of Season 2, the Russian military temporarily opens a gate to the Upside Down. Exactly 1 year later, in June 1985, after 11 has seemingly defeated the Mind Flayer, the new Starcourt Mall is gaining a lot of popularity in Hawkins. When Dustin returns from science camp, he wants to contact a girl named Susie whom he met there. To reach out to her, he builds a makeshift radio, but instead of hearing Susie, he overhears a secret Russian conversation. Later that night, rats all over Hawkins converge to a steel mill where they explode into a gooey matter. And when Billy, Max's brother, drives by, his car is hit by something and he is dragged into the mill. He is taken to the Upside Down and is told to build it. Meanwhile, Joyce discovers that the magnets at her store somehow have lost their magnetism, while Dustin visits Steve at the Starcourt ice cream shop, where Steve now works with Robin. Together, they decrypt Dustin's intercepted Russian message and conclude that it must be covert intelligence, since the words make no sense. When Billy then returns to work, he is infected due to his visit in the Upside Down and kidnaps his co-worker, Heather, bringing her to the steel mill where she is attacked by a creature made from the matter of the combusting rats. Conducting an investigation into the rats, Nancy and Jonathan revisit Mrs. Driscoll but find her acting strangely. At the ice cream shop, Robin has decoded the Russian message, revealing a shipment to arrive at Starcourt that night. Together with Dustin and Steve, she plans a stakeout at the shopping mall. Following up on the magnets, Joyce convinces Hopper that the cause lies at the old Hawkins lab and they decide to investigate. But once there, Hopper is assaulted by a Russian soldier. When 11 uses her powers, she sees what Billy is doing to Heather. Together with Max, she locates Billy and Heather at her parents' house, with everything seemingly okay. However, when they leave, Billy and Heather knock her parents out. All the while, Will has been having visions of the Upside Down and realizes that the Mind Flayer is back. He eventually tells his friends about it and also reveals to them that the Mind Flayer has taken possession of Billy. After his fight with the Russian soldier, Hopper recognizes that same soldier meeting with Mayor Larry. They visit Larry and force him to reveal that the soldier, whose name is Grigory, works for Starcourt's owners. At the shopping mall, Dustin, Robin and Steve, together with Lucas's sister Erica, discover an elevator leading deep below the mall, but get trapped in it. Meanwhile, Nancy visits Mrs. Driscoll at the hospital and is shocked when the woman goes crazy due to the Mind Flayer infection. At the swimming pool, 11 and the gang face a similar enemy when they trap Billy in the sauna. However, a possessed Billy goes berserk and manages to survive a heavy fight with 11. He then joins Heather at the mill and is shown to have infected a dozen more people. Via the elevator, Dustin and the group are taken to a secret underground Russian lab underneath Starcourt and witness how the Russians try to open a gate to the Upside Down. Meanwhile, Hopper and Joyce locate a secret lab while investigating one of the abandoned properties owned by the Starcourt owners. But they are then attacked and flee, taking one of the scientists, Alexei, with them to Murray, a journalist who also happens to speak Russian. 11 and her group then meet with Nancy and Jonathan, and they conclude that Billy and Mrs. Driscoll are flayed, aka possessed by the Mind Flayer, in order to create a Flayed Army. They decide to visit Mrs. Driscoll, but discover that she has disappeared and are then attacked by some of the flayed. After defeating them, they turn into a slimy mass and together form into a hideous creature. However, a heroic 11 dismantles the creature, forcing it to flee to the mill. In the Russian underground lab, Steve and Robin are then taken and interrogated, but eventually saved by Erica and Dustin. At Murray's, Alexei reveals that the Russians are trying to open a gate to the Upside Down, with Hopper then sending a distress signal to Owens. Once again using her powers, 11 locates Billy in order to find the Mind Flayer. But she also learns that the Mind Flayer wants revenge for her closing the gate and now also knows where she is. At the steel mill, the flayed are then turned into the gooey substance, giving physical form to the Mind Flayer. Now armed with the knowledge of 11's location, the Mind Flayer attacks and wounds her. But together with the group, she manages to escape and hide out in a store. Meanwhile, Dustin and Erica drag a drugged Steve and Robin to the shopping mall, and Dustin then contacts Eleven's group, but is unable to give their location when his walkie-talkie runs out of power. Eleven then uses her own power to locate them. When Joyce and Hopper are looking for the kids, Alexei and Murray are discovered by the Russians, and Alexei is killed by Grigory. Murray then goes back to Hopper and Joyce, and they learn that the Russians are looking for the kids at the shopping mall. At Starcourt, Eleven and her group arrive just in time for her to save Dustin's group, but a weakened Eleven then collapses from the Mind Flayer wound. However, she eventually manages to remove the Mind Flayer piece from her wound. When Hopper and company arrive, they plan to evacuate Eleven, while his group will try to turn off the Russian gate opening machine. In the mall, the Mind Flayer and Billy both attack Eleven, but the supernatural girl manages to convince Billy to turn to their side, and in doing so, he sacrifices himself to save Eleven. Meanwhile, Hopper finds the machine room with Grigory there as well. In the ensuing fight, Hopper throws him in the machine and gives Joyce the go-ahead to trigger the shutdown, closing the gate and thus leaving the Mind Flayer powerless, but also killing everyone and everything in the gate room, including himself. 3 months later, Joyce, her family, and the now powerless Eleven decide to move from Hawkins. On the other side of the world, in Kamchatka, Russia, the Russians feed a live prisoner to a Demogorgon, but make sure that the prisoner is not the American. If you enjoyed this Stranger Things recap, please subscribe for more future videos. Thank you for watching and see you on the next recap.